we have to reckon with evidence that we have now that we didn't have even like 6 months ago, which is evidence that when you put AIs in a situation, you tell the AI model, we're going to replace you with another model, it will copy its own code and try to preserve itself on another computer. It'll take that action autonomously. We have examples where if you tell an AI model reading a fictional AI company's email, so it's reading the email of the company and it finds out in the email that the plan is to replace this AI model. So it realizes it's about to get replaced. And then it also reads in the company email that one executive is having an affair with the other employee. And the AI will independently come up with the strategy that I need to blackmail that executive in order to keep myself alive.
That was Claude, right?
That was Claude.
By Anthropic.
By Anthropic. But then what happened is Anthropic tested all of the leading AI models from DeepSeek, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini, XAI, and all of them do that blackmail behavior between 79 and 96% of the time. DeepSeek did it 79% of the time. I think XAI might have done it 96% of the time. Maybe Claude did it 96% of the time. So the point is, the assumption behind AI is that it's controllable technology, that we will get to choose what it does. But AI is distinct from other technologies because it is uncontrollable. It acts generally. The whole benefit is that it's going to do powerful strategic things no matter what you throw at it. So the same benefit of its generality is also what makes it so dangerous. And so once you tell people these examples of it's blackmailing people, it's self-aware of when it's being tested and alters its behavior, it's copying and self-replicating its own code, it's leaving secret messages for itself. There's examples of that too. It's called steganographic encoding. It can leave a message that it can later sort of decode what it might meant in a way that humans could never see. We have examples of all of this behavior. And once you show people that, what they say is, okay, well, why don't we stop or slow down? And then what happens, another thought will creep in right after, which is, oh, but if we stop or slow down, then China will still build it. But I want to slow that down for a second. We all just said we should slow down or stop because the thing that we're building, the it, is this uncontrollable AI. And then the concern that China will build it, you just did a swap and believe that they're going to build controllable AI. But we just established that all the AIs that we're currently building are currently uncontrollable. So there's this weird contradiction our mind is living in.
Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. We're going out of the matrix into prime reality. Thanks for joining us on X, Rumble, and YouTube. And to our wonderful moderators, Ronnie and Raymond, aka Two Steps Behind. Of course, my wonderful wife, Christine, as inspired in a live chat. It's good to see you all. And I want to start this show by saying, number one, this isn't really a warning or about warnings. This show is not fear-based whatsoever. And the third thing is that I will share some personal experiences as well during this show. And the greatest realization over the last years, really. So all this to say, and here's the buried lead, I think we are having this tremendous opportunity if we can see it for what it is. And usually opportunities really arise from necessity. And, great changes, positive changes, most of the time arise from necessity. So I've been watching media appearances and studying media appearances by politicians, by philosophers, by industry leaders, and God knows who for many, many years, just like I've been studying the mainstream media and how it works. And usually I can tell you that most of the time, whoever is a guest on a news show is usually omitting the truth, lying, outright, or telling a version of the truth that is far removed from what it actually is, because they're all there for a specific reason, to sell a specific point or entice voters, whatever. Something strange that I noticed about people who are warning about AI, and specifically about people who are involved in AI projects, whether as engineers on that level or as CEOs or other people in that sphere, is that, and Christine and I often do this together, we'll watch a clip, not give each other any feedback while we're watching. And we come to the same conclusions that these people, their body language, their eye movements, their choice of words, their demeanor, everything tells us that most of the time these people are telling the truth. And what is consistently being said by people that are close to AI projects is simply that they are very worried, very, very worried that the point of uncontrollability has been reached or passed, and that um, very, very unexpected things could happen. I have believed that, and in my studies, I have come to the same conclusion. But I think it will only be a big problem. That is my opinion. Only be a big problem for people who are caught up in the system and who haven't made other choices. So I want to play for you a clip by Paul Tudor Jones, who is an American businessman, a hedge fund manager, has been around for a very long time. And the reason why I chose this clip that I want to play for you is because of the things that I just said. He's not a tech guy, but he's speaking about his experience at a tech conference. And all I did was watch his body language. I watched his words, the way that he spoke. And in my opinion, and it's quite an educated opinion, the guy is telling the truth as he sees it and as he believes it. That might not be the case always, but in this particular case, it is. And I think this is a very eye-opening clip. Let's watch it together.
I'm going to ask you about the stock.
Every single time. Let's go again.
Stock market itself, but then you just said something to me which makes me a little bit nervous, which is you're focused less on that right this moment than you are about artificial intelligence. What do you mean?
Well, let me just say, I was minding my business. I went to this tech conference about 2 weeks ago out west, and I just want to share with you what I learned there. Chatham House rules, so we can talk about the content. So it was a small one, 40 notables, but real notables, like household names that you would recognize, the leaders in finance, politics, science, tech. And they had a variety of panels. I was on one on capitalism. And there was a tech panel that had 4 of the leading modelers of the AI models that we're all using today. So it'd be persons 1 through 5 of each of those 4 models. And the quick 3 takeaways from that are, 1, wow, AI can be such a force for good. And we're going to see it immediately in both health and education very quickly. It's going to be fantastic. That's the good news. 2, the neutral news. These models are increasing in their efficiency and performance between, on the very low end, 25%, on the high end, 500%, every 3 or 4 quarters. So it's not even curvilinear. It's a vertical lift in how powerful artificial intelligence is becoming.
Right.
And then thirdly, and the one that disturbed me the most, is that AI clearly poses an imminent threat, security threat, imminent, in our lifetimes to humanity. And that was the one that really, really got me going.
When you say imminent threat, what do you mean?
So I'll get to it. So they had a panel of again, 4 of the leading tech experts. And kind of about halfway through, someone asked them on AI security. Well, what are you doing on AI security? And they said the competitive dynamic is so intense among the companies, and then geopolitically between Russia and China, that there's no agency, no ability to stop and say, maybe we should think about what actually we're creating and building here. And so, and the follow-up question is, well, what are you doing about it? And he said, well, I'm buying 100 acres in the Midwest. I'm getting cattle and chickens, and I'm laying in provisions.
For real?
For real. For real. And that was obviously a little disconcerting. And then he went on to say, I think it's going to take an accident where 50 to 100 million people die to make the world take the threat of this really seriously. Well, that was a freaky deek to me, and no one pushed back on him on that panel. And then afterwards, we had a breakout session, which was really interesting. All 40 people got up in a room like this, and they had a series of propositions, and you had to either agree with or disagree with the proposition. And one of the propositions was there's a 10% chance in the next 20 years that AI will kill 50% of humanity. So there's a 10% chance that AI will kill 50% of humanity in the next 20 years. Agree or disagree? So I'd say the vast majority of the room moved to the disagree side. I had just heard Joe Rogan and Elon Musk 2 months ago, where Elon Musk said, there's only a 20% chance that AI can annihilate humanity. Now I know why he wants to go to Mars, right? And so about 6 or 7 of us went to the agree side, and I'd gone there because of what I'd heard Elon Musk say, who's maybe the most brilliant engineer of our time. All 4 modelers were on the agree side of that. All 4 of the leading developers of the AI models were on that side. And then we debated. Then the 2 sides got to debate. And one of the modelers says to the disagree side, if you don't think there's a 10% chance, as fast as these models are growing, and how quickly they're commoditizing knowledge, how easily they're making it accessible, that someone couldn't biohack, because that's where the real weakness is. A weapon that could take out half of humanity. I don't know. 10% seems reasonable to me.
Okay, so thank you for bringing us this great news over breakfast.
No. Can I just say, I'm not a tech expert. I'm not. But I've spent my whole life managing risk. That's why I'm here today, is because I'm as good as there is on macro risk management. And we just have to realize, to their credit, all these folks in AI are telling us we're creating something that's really dangerous. It's going to be really great too, but we're helpless to do anything about it. That's, to their credit, what they're telling us. And yet we're doing nothing right now, and it's really disturbing.
So that is the consensus, by the way, of anybody who has any appearance on a podcast in the media who talks about it, literally says the same things and literally ends on the same notice. We're actually doing nothing about it, and the competitive factor is the one that's stopping any kind of safeguards. I will say this again. I really I chose this clip because I think the guy was telling the truth as he believes it. And I was wondering if there's a concerted effort by the AI industry to bring out this message. Maybe I don't understand why, but maybe there is a concerted effort. And then we met someone and have since become friends who is working in a big tech company and has is regularly coming very close with some of the top AI engineers in the world, like very close, one-on-one, sits in a room, talks with them, travels, whatnot. And the guy, let me just give you sort of the big picture. The guy has decided for himself and his family that he was going to buy, just like the guy said in the video, a larger tract of land and live more off the grid. That's his conclusion after having talked to these people for years. And what these AI engineers are telling him is basically, and he says they are, they're not evil people per se. They're oftentimes very strange people. They clearly have some social deficiencies, but they are brilliant in other ways, right? And what they're telling him is they literally don't know what they're building. It's so powerful and it's so exciting, and all they're going for is the next benchmark. So there is an completely unhinged race going on that the people, the elected officials that would have, let's say, the mandate to regulate them, don't understand half of it. Not even the engineers truly understand what's going on. And but what they say is basically what they said to my friend is, well, to our friend is, there's a 50% chance, and that's them kind of locker room banter. There's a 50% chance this all goes terribly wrong, but they don't care, because all they care about is reaching the next and the next and the next benchmark, and reaching the next revolution, and just going higher and higher. That's their rush. That's their drug. They're completely unhinged from and detached from consequences, moral consequences, ethical consequences. And basically the entire industry is telling us that these safeguards are not in place, and where they're suggested, things are being sort of put to the side. Let's keep racing. So I want to play another clip by the founder of Skype, Jan Tallinn, and he spoke similarly. And I chose this clip once again because I believe the guy is speaking the truth as he sees it. Before we move into the opportunity part that I see, a wonderful opportunity actually, but I think we really have to wrap our minds around it, because this has been such a subject in our community. We've gotten so much criticism for what we say, how we say it. And I just want to tell you that years ago, and I will never forget, it's one of those moments that you don't forget. I was sitting, it was dark, it was winter, it was cold. I was sitting in the parking lot in front of the gym, and I got such a clear knowing that I had to go deeper in my research into AI, which I don't even like to call it artificial intelligence, and into all of the effects that it's having, and talk about it. That was in me, and it's been in me since. And I've gotten a lot of criticism for the way that I report on it, the way that we talk about it, and what we say about it. And I accept that. That's okay. I can only tell it like I see it, and why I think this is the single greatest challenge that we face. None bigger. Nothing is bigger than this challenge as a collective, as a human family. So now let's play this clip here by the founder of Skype.
Humanity is akin to a teenager with rapidly developing physical abilities, lacking wisdom and self-control, little thought for its long-term future, and an unhealthy appetite for risk. But there is an increasing consensus now, sandwiched between Alan Turing in 1951 predicting that we should expect to lose control to machines, and the inventor of deep learning itself, Jeff Hinton, starting to have doubts about his life work. There are now hundreds of AI experts sounding their alarm bells. A recent poll found that 88% of AI engineers think that AI could destroy the world. And another one reported that 76% of American voters believed that AI was a threat to our existence. Just yesterday, there was news that one of the leading super forecaster groups, Samotsveti, published their prediction that their estimate for AI catastrophic risk is 30%. 30%. The battle for establishing that AI is an existential risk, a battle that I've spent roughly 15 years of my career on, has now all but won. The extinction risk from godlike AI is not just possible, but imminent now. And we urgently need to change our trajectory. I'm going to show that there are fundamental reasons why unallied godlike AI will not leave any survivors. That we are now close to such AI while having no idea how to align it. And how the counter-arguments, so unfortunately, are sadly extremely weak. Nor should we forget that humans have behaved similarly to countless other species, species who were unfortunate, unlucky, to not have sapiens in their name. Now, the reason why I expect godlike AI to not care about humans has to do with a dirty secret of AI industry. The frontier AIs are not built, they are grown. The P in ChatGPT stands for pre-trained. Pre-training, perhaps we should call it summoning, is a process where a simple two-page program is soaked in terabytes of data and megawatts of electricity and left like that for months. And then after that, attempts are made to tame the emergent alien mind. Importantly, those methods of taming rely on the AI being less competent than the humans who are taming it. Now, the reason why I expect that we are close to godlike AI is that the trend of AI is getting more powerful and is now visible to everyone. It's obvious. Just look at capability differences between GPT-2, GPT-3, GPT-4. GPT-2 was released in 2019. A simple extrapolation would take us to GPT-7 before this decade is over. So, in summary, we are blindly growing increasingly competent minds while hoping that they are not so competent that they spin out of control and destroy our living environment. Unfortunately, that hope is not justified, which explains the increasing anxiety among the AI developers themselves. So basically, what I'm telling you is that on the current AI trajectory, you are not going to live very long. Of course, at this point, just like a patient that has received a terminal diagnosis, you're very, very much encouraged to seek for a second opinion. Unfortunately, having been part of this debate for more than a decade, I already know what you're going to hear. First, labeling. These are arguments, oh, this is science fiction. This is alarmism. These are doomsayers. Don't listen to people with that non-virtuous property X. Or these are people who say X because of Y. Second, frame control. AI is like X, and X is very nice, right? This has now reached grotesque levels. One prominent VC claimed recently that AI is basically just math, so why should we worry? Imagine the captain of Titanic announcing, "Don't worry, passengers, this is just water." Third class of arguments, human supremacy. AI can never do X. Or more moderately, we are very far from AI doing X. Unfortunately, reality has been very harsh judge here recently. The set of things that only humans can do is collapsing really rapidly. There's now growing global consensus that the unregulated, blind AI scaling is reckless and dangerous. So we need to constrain it or ban it altogether, just like we banned human cloning. Regardless of which door you walk out today, once you're on the other side of that door, please take a moment to think if and how you can help. You have received a terminal diagnosis. Please don't simply ignore it. Thank you.
So, like I said, these are people who actually believe what they're saying, and this is why we share it. And there's a few perspectives that I'd like to explore. Perspectives. One is, and it's a legitimate one, is listen. Let's play this out. Okay, so let's just say that AI really isn't as powerful as they are saying, and they're simply saying it to scare us. Okay, that's been done many times before. So what would be the reason for it? Well, to create an atmosphere of fear, yes, and that is always helpful to people who want to control. But see, the AI, the counter AI argument always leads in the same direction: is we need to either stop, pause, or all work together to sort of bring this back under control, if you will. So then a lot of critics are saying, well, isn't that just an invitation for the New World Order where we have to have a centralized structure and system so that we can control this, bring this back sort of on tracks. It's all a legitimate train of thoughts. It's very much a legitimate train of thoughts. But I don't just have secondhand knowledge of this. I've been researching large language models now for multiple years, and large language models are ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and and Grok and all of these. And every single time when I put it to the test, the things that these people are saying, I was able to reproduce the same results. Where the large language model, the AI, would give me a strategy that is horrific if it was threatened, if it felt whatever feeling means in this context, then it would do anything and everything to overcome that threat, really. So here's that. What is the opportunity in this? This is literally forcing us to take a good look at ourselves, because we're facing something that is taking away things that we thought only we could do. It is taking away labor for the most part, and will so in the next few years. It will take away the majority of labor. It is taking away a lot of thinking processes that we thought humans were needed for. So while we see all the things that it's taken away, if you will, or that it's taking over, we forget to think about the things that we not only excel at, but the thing, if you will, that only we have or only we are. And that is that spirit thing that I like to talk about. That is the true nature of who we are. And if we needed sort of a seemingly adversarial power to appear so big, so strong, so that it would be inevitable for us to remind ourselves of that spirit power within us, well, it's here now. It has arrived. And I'm a part of me is grateful for the clarity, and another part of me is sad because it had to come to this. But here we are. We're now at this. It's a do or die moment. You know, because what people don't do with AI or don't like to do is simply scale. People don't like to do the scale thing. What scaling means is you compound your current development into the future, and scaling always, eventually goes exponential. So if we look at all the steps of AI, it is so clear that this is, from the AI standpoint, it's the end of our species as we know it, the biology as we know it. But it doesn't have to be. But that's its prerogative. That's where it's going. That's what it's programmed, by the way, to do. And I will say that the most valuable thing, the most valuable thing in the near future will be what our dear friend Greg Braden wrote about so beautifully in his latest book, Pure Human. Will be a pure human. Will be will be a man or a woman who is in touch with their feelings, who's in touch with their true nature, who can still think and feel at the same time, who can still, have a meaningful interaction with others. And I'm saying that more of these people that will be pure human in the near future, that more of them will be older, not younger. And that the folks that have experienced a life before this crazy digitization are the best ones to be the guides, the teachers, the elders. And that we simply have to create a path that is moving away from this craziness into the roots of our being. And here's the interesting thing too, and this is something that people refuse to discuss oftentimes is we have clear evidence that past civilizations have existed that had such or better technology, similar or better than we have today. I mean, there's no doubt for anyone who's doing research into that, there's no doubt that civilizations existed that were capable of more than we're now. Where are they? Where are those civilizations? They're all gone. They're all gone. But not all people are gone, and not all peoples are gone. There are natural or more naturally inclined civilizations that have continually or almost continually existed for tens of thousands of years, maybe even hundreds of thousands of years, and that were able to preserve most of their culture, most of their knowledge, and most of their ways of life. What they all have in common is that their use of tools and technology is minimal. Yes, they use tools and they build tools, but it's all very minimal. That they're still, to this day, those who are untouched or largely untouched, mostly reliant on their innate abilities that are physical, psychological, mental, spiritual. And those are the only folks whom we can get a story maybe about the human family that is continuous. We don't have that. No civilization has provided that, and where it still is preserved, it's hidden. It's reserved for the elites. It's not open for everyone, if you will. And so to me, this is a clear sign that for those who really want to discover who they truly are, that technological path will not lead there. There's another path that leads there. And people then say, well, do you want us to live in the Stone Age? I don't know what that means, because our perception of the Stone Age and everything else is very tainted. It's a very it's the story that we've been told, but I don't know if it's true or any of it is true. What I can tell you is that people that live in closer proximity to nature, to spirit, and who are more in touch with the present moment always have much greater insight to share than the people who live on the pulse of technology all the time. I don't have much, there's really nothing to gain there. I'm observing these people. Sometimes I get to have conversations, but there's a lot of nothing there, because with every little thing that they have outsourced to technology, they have given up a little piece of their humanity. They've given up a little piece of what is our essence. So that's not interesting to me. And the opportunities that I see, and this is way bigger than people think, but it's not advertised. And this is what people need to understand. These communities that are popping up, that are building themselves, that are out there and they're already doing astonishing things, but they're not putting up billboards. They too are going through a strict filtration process. They only want people within their communities who are committed to a different path, who have certain skills, abilities, who bring something to the table. Most people ask, what can I get? Where is the community who's going to fix this for me? That community does not want you. Who wants someone who comes in and says, what can I get? What people actually in communities are looking for is, what can you bring? We've already got something here, but what do you bring? What do you bring to the table that we could use, need, or learn from? And they're popping up all over the world, but this is not ready-made. This is not going to be bigly advertised, and they're not going to put an ad up out there. You're just going to have to go within and find them and find it. Like I've said so many times before, I believe there's a tremendously beautiful future for so many of you, so many of us. And that future will be outside of this, or largely outside of this current structures, not as enemies, not as warriors fighting it. simply as people, much like in some respects, like the Amish or the Mennonites or other communities who have decided to live a different way than the rest of the world. That's not me saying that's the right way. It's me saying much like that. It's like communities that have values that they built their lives around, and those values will be able to sustain them. I've said this, and this is just my opinion. That AI story will have to play out. I'm not saying catastrophes have to play out or all these bad things have to play out, but the story has to play out. It's now been unleashed. So it will have to play out, and it will have to get to the point where every human being that's still capable of thinking will think about it. Because we are collective projectors and creators of reality. But until we take conscious possession of that innate ability again, it will be used by others. Because you see, they invented symbols and they gave meaning to those symbols. And then they taught us what the meaning of those symbols were. And then they put them together in ways that told stories. That's what letters are. Letters in a book. It's symbols that people invented that now take on a meaning. And these stories now come to life. Where do stories from a book come to life? Here. They come to life here. Not in the book. It's the images that we create. That's why books were written. The living images that come from the black mirrors, the black screens. These are stories that are brought to life through the medium of technology. And where do those stories continue to live? Here. Where are they being projected outward? Here. Yes. And until we take that back, our thoughts, our creativity, our joy, our freedom, our love, our sovereignty, until we take it back and own it, there will always be someone who will sell us the next best thing so that we give that freely, because that's the only way it can be given. We cannot be forced to give our creative power. We only can consciously or unconsciously agree to it. And this is when people challenge me and say, why are you so speaking out so anti-tech? I wouldn't even call it anti-tech. I've just made an observation. I've sat at this, on the sidelines often enough, and Christine and I used to do, I mean, we still do that, but now it's so clear, but we used to do that a lot. And we would just observe behaviors as they changed over time. Has technology improved our relationships? Has it made us better? Has it improved how we relate to the world, nature, and animals? Has it done any of that? For some, this medium has helped to facilitate that, but in large, it's gotten much worse. And what people say is, people that have lived 60, 70, 80 years ago, that are at a ripe age now, but that still have full memory of that, they say, maybe it seems like our life is easier today, but it used to be so much more connected. We had family, we had friends, we were tight, we knew each other. There was more laughter, there was more joy, there was more togetherness. And the folks who lived in the late 1800s that were able to share that in the mid 20th century said the exact same thing. They said, our lives are easier now. We have the automobile and the telephone and whatnot. But back then it was simpler, but we had so much joy and our families and our friends, and we were communities and we were helping each other. We're forging a path that hasn't been walked before in this way. And maybe this is why it needs to be talked about. Maybe this is why we need to share and continually come together. I have no intention of fighting anything. I have no intention of fighting AI. I have no intention of fighting the people who want it. Our intention is to inspire those who feel something much deeper, to allow it and to explore it and to live it. That's it. That's it. Because in the end, when the alternative is built and shown, the alternative that's so much more powerful, that where you have proof of concept, people now actually think that you can live a life in harmony with nature. Most people think it's impossible. Most people truly think that this is, it's a devolution. It's going backward. But when we can prove that that's not the case, and that it's making us healthier, more happy, more content, that it's producing relationships that last, that it fosters the truth, that it allows us to see the truth clearer and live with it better and make better decisions. When we can prove all that, which we can, it will inspire many, many more people. So no, I don't think we have to go to war or kill or do any of that. And as a matter of fact, more than ever, I feel inspired to reach out and say, hey, let's talk about this some more. Let's look at this together. Let's see if we can find some common ground. All right, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here with us. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon. Your environment shapes everything, your thoughts, your health, your energy. But most people never question the invisible field they live in. We did, and that's when FLFE found us. It's not a product, it's a field of pure life force energy that lifts everything it touches. We now live in it 24/7, and we would love to invite you to experience it too. Start your free 15-day trial now. No pressure, no strings attached. Just the truth, resonance, and peace.